Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I will now call the January meeting of the Sustainable and Economic Vitality Committee to order. As you might expect, our committee covers topics related to sustainable initiatives and economic vitality for our great city. Note that there are no formal votes or decisions about any city programs, policies, or budgets happening here. Our role is just to explore various topics with staff and stakeholders and community members and to make recommendations to our council colleagues. We want this process to be transparent, inclusive, and easy for you to be a part of whenever you choose to be. And you can share your thoughts with us by filling out a comment card about any item on the meeting agenda or by reaching out to us directly with any thoughts, questions, or ideas. The link to the comment cards, for those of you that are listening in the out there virtually, can be found at tempe.gov/SEV. And you'll be able to find contact information for committee members and staff. There are no agendized questions as well. Councilmember Chin.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Adams. The next item on our agenda is item number 2, review and approval of meeting minutes from the December meeting of the previous Sustainable and Economic Vitality Committee. If there are no objections, I move that we approve the minutes from the December 12th, 2022 meeting as written.
I have no objections and second the motion. So June meetings are unanimously approved. I think we met December meeting. So correction in the minutes, that should say December, not June. Thought I was like, could I be losing my mind there for a second? All right.
Did I say December or June?
No, you said December and my notes said June, so that's why I was confused. But we've corrected it in the record. So it should say December minutes are unanimously approved. The next thing on our agenda is item 3A, public comments. This committee welcomes public comment. According to Arizona Public Meeting Law, Open Meeting Law, the committee may only discuss matters listed on the agenda. Matters brought by the public under public comment that are not listed on the agenda cannot be discussed by the committee. A 3-minute limit per person will be in effect. Tonya, do we have any comment cards or requests to speak?
Yes, Vice Mayor Adams and Councilmember Chim, there are 2 comment cards. I will start with our first comment from Nancy Schwartz.
So I appreciate you taking a few minutes to let me tell my story. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I recently learned the very, very, very hard way that SRP, Salt River Project, the electric company, is actively making rooftop solar generation for residential customers cost prohibitive. Like I said, I've learned this the very, very hard way by installing solar on my home, and I was not expecting my electric bills to go up. My electric bills are now higher than they were for the same months in previous years. My solar rooftop generation went into effect on October the 12th. And my November and December bills so far have been higher than they were in the same times, in years previous with no, lifestyle change. And I'm just very, very, very troubled that my good faith investment in solar has been undermined by SRP's policies and rates. I mean, I just unfortunately did not do my homework beforehand. I went into this sort of naively. And I guess my ask of this committee is to be aware of, what I definitely consider to be a climate injustice. That SRP continues this unethical and immoral behavior And the only thing that I know of for all of us to do, and I hope you will, keep it top of mind in all of your conversations, is to vote. Please vote for SRP. If you are eligible to vote in SRP election, that you will vote for board members that are going to be supportive of facilitating solar generation for residential customers. I'm at a loss now with what I'm going to do because my system cannot become economically viable at all, even with the federal and state tax credits, and I'm paying more. So I just ask that everyone do anything you can to be aware. If a note can go in the Tempe newsletter encouraging people to vote, I mean, that this has to change.
Thank you so much for your comments. Very informational. And we have a second comment card, correct?
Correct. We will have David Sokolowski. I've asked you to unmute if you can now speak.
Talk about the downtown refresh Mill Avenue Streetscape project. I conduct ADA compliance checks for Valley Metro, and FTA Circular 4710 requires bus drivers to stop at bus stops that have more than one route. Federal law requires bus drivers to stop and signal the passengers. Sometimes it's confusing because Tempe was backwards for many years, but passengers are not required to wave at buses. That means our buses will be required to stop at every living room, even if nobody's riding the bus. You're going to disrupt drivers, bus riders, and bikers all at the same time. Instead of removing bus stops, the city needs to remove on-street parking. We need bus bays that can handle 2 to 4 buses at a time. We need a location where bus drivers can safely deploy ADA ramps. We need to separate the people who are sitting in the living room from the people who are waiting for the bus, so bus drivers can tell the difference. Tempe has what is called the last mile, which means that transit riders are expected to walk up to a mile to the bus stop. Tempe has 16,000 public parking spots within half a mile of Mill Avenue, not counting private lots or ASU parking. We're supposed to create a balanced transportation system. It seems fair that if transit riders can walk 1 mile, that drivers can walk at least half a mile. It's not fair to transit riders to remove bus stops while preserving on-street parking. That's not a balanced transportation system. I want to use the rest of my time to try and talk about the property acquisition. Homeless people can cost taxpayers $40,000 a year, so Tempe is probably spending $16 million per year, and will probably spend at least $160 million by 2030. Basically the same cost to remediate 46 acres of land. Our city needs to build 20,000 low-income units to prevent our city from becoming like San Francisco. We would need to build 2,000 units per year to prevent an even worse crisis by 2030. At current rates, Tempe needs 20,000 units at 200,000 a unit. But by 2030, Tempe could need 30,000 units or 40,000 units that cost 400,000 a unit. When I say we literally can't afford to wait, the housing crisis could cost our city $30 million per year, while redeveloping 0 properties for affordable housing. If that's the case, Tempe's costs could skyrocket to $460 million by 2040. It would be worth it in the long term if Tempe is able to put 10 or 15 million per year into redevelopment. We need to try and stabilize our affordable housing inventory before it's completely wiped out. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next item on our agenda is item 4A, current items and updates, and we'll begin with item 4A1, City of Tempe property and redevelopment strategies. I believe the City of Tempe Economic Development staff, Chad Schiesleiker, close, will be walking us through this one. Thank you, Chad. Sorry about butchering your last name.
No problem. Do I have a presentation?
Yes, it's on there.
It's the next one.
Yes.
You just go ahead and use the clicker right there. Oh, I'm not showing my screen. That's why you're not seeing the full screen. Operator, try that.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Adams, Councilmember Chen. So today I'm going to be running through a redevelopment fund CIP budget request. Our team has collectively put some thoughts together in a short, brief slide, just to kind of summarize our plan and then get your take on this, and then we can kind of act from there. So in general, to get started, why create a redevelopment fund? So a number of things come up to mind, but number one is prevent blight. So we think that we can be a partial solution to help leverage investments into projects and areas within our community, assist existing cultural, community, and historical businesses and real estate assets, and then facilitate the implementation of other council priorities like homelessness, working to create secure and safe communities. We believe that a fund can allow us strategic, quick investments into the community and provide a little bit of a nimbleness when competing against the private market. So some of the opportunities that could exist or exist right now for redevelopment: 1409 East Apache. There's 1.8 acres of vacant land on Apache that staff has a letter of intent for right now. There's 1501 East Apache. This is the small building in front of the western part of the 1511, 1537 building that we just purchased. This would kind of round out the site, if you will, and give us a little bit more access and ability to create what we'd like. And then 2130 East University. So this is a neat kind of off opportunity that is a small industrial property in a really great location that could be repurposed. The owners asked to sell to the city. And so this could be an opportunity as an example where you could maybe create some kind of creative industrial co-working or any kind of nimble aspect from a real estate play that a bigger warehouse investor might not be willing to do. And then Wilson Arts, so this a property council's already authorized staff to negotiate for. So those are just some of the opportunities for redevelopment.
Chad, just sorry to interrupt,
me.
but that's okay. Could you give us the cross streets? I know it says 1409 Apache, but can you give us the other cross streets where they would be located, just for our residents to understand?
Yeah, sure. So Cedar, right around Cedar Apache area, 1501 East Apache, I think most know about, right? That's right on east of McClintock, off Apache, or west, excuse me. And then
So McClintock, just for clarification.
2130 East University is kind of more near the 101,
Yeah,
The 101,
yeah, in the university.
okay,
yeah,
okay,
correct. The 2130 East University is in our Smith Hub,
okay,
and the 1501 East Apache is, Chad said, is in front of the building that we just purchased where Haji Baba's is. So that's on Cedar and Apache.
okay. Very
Yes.
good. Thank you for the
welcome.
clarification. I just
Yeah,
want people to
no.
understand,
Yeah.
Sure,
where we're
thanks.
going.
Yeah, it'd have been good to have a map too. We can provide that.
Okay, that'd be great.
So uses for redevelopment fund, obviously we need to comply within the gift clause statute. Property acquisitions for various uses. It could be for Hometown for All. It could be co-working space for micro starter businesses. It could be property management on city-owned sites. Infrastructure development, so patio renovations along Mill, shade, EV charging, mobility centers, resilience centers and hubs, certain hubs that we have, and then utility improvements needed for antiquated buildings. And then revitalization, so tenant improvements to incentivize retail on Mill, and then assist developers on city priority projects. So some of the feedback that we're hearing is let's just say a tenant sees a space and is interested in it. There are a lot of upfront costs sometimes that burden down the ability to kind of maintain their business. And so this could be a way to kind of help them into it and then allow them to kind of grow from there. So then the budget request and the reporting is an annual CIP allocation of $5 million over 5 years to fund redevelopment efforts in Tempe starting in fiscal year 2024. Provide annual strategic focus created by economic development. And then we plan on sending out quarterly memos highlighting the opportunity, the investment updates on those existing projects. So that way everybody's informed and a little bit ahead of what maybe those strategies look like for the upcoming year. And so with that, we believe this is just the beginning, and we'd open it up to thoughts, suggestions, questions.
Well, I think this looks great. It's a great idea. A lot of times people just need that extra boost, you know, to become successful. I was going to ask a question, I lost it, but I think I'm totally in favor of this, and I'll be comfortable forwarding this to the rest of council colleagues.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
you very much.
And if you could put that map, I know what I was going to say. If you could put a map where these locations are on the webpage, so that way people can look at the map. And I know with Smith Hub, we know all the names and everything, but I just want to make sure our residents can know exactly where these are going. So thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you.
Very good presentation.
I have some questions.
Okay,
Can you
yes,
bring
yes.
Chad back up?
I forgot, Arlene. Go ahead.
Thanks, Chad, for the information. I have a question. Have you determined or tell me what the thinking is of how will funds be spent? What's the process for that? How will you determine what projects or what's the process? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thank you. So our thought was, and we briefly touched on this, but I should have gone in more depth, is when we do an annual strategic focus for the upcoming fiscal year, our thought is to kind of take analysis and understanding of where the market's going, what our opportunities are. A lot of times they come out of the blue, and so we just need to be ready. But we think that if we have a strategic plan for the upcoming year, you have a general idea of where debt and equity are going, and then where we have a chance to get in front of some of these opportunities when it's a seller's market or buyer's market, depending on. And then from a funding standpoint, as of right now, we're still working that out, but it would be through the general fund.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Also, on slide 5, can you clarify for me? I don't know if you want to pull that up.
Yeah, let's get it pulled up.
This?
Yes. Can you clarify that first bullet? Is it an allocation? It says annual CIP allocation of 5 million over 5 years. So is that 5 million each year for 5 years or 1 million over 5 years?
Great question. So our ask would be 5 million over 5 years, so 25 million total.
Okay.
Over those 5 years.
Maybe that's.
Is there a reason why we're going with the 5-year number, or that just seemed like a good pilot?
My understanding is that that's the CIP cycle.
These numbers were actually given to us by Mark Day. So we're working through budget, and he's the one that provided these numbers as a good starting point, waiting to hear what feedback we might get.
Okay, great. So nothing's, that's not a definitive
No.
request yet. That's
No.
just, okay, all right.
It's what we
great.
put in the budget, because we had to submit all those forms, but it's up for discussion, which is why we're making the rounds now.
Right, great, thank you. Thank you for the information.
Any other questions, Councilmember Chin?
Nope, that's good for me, thank you.
Since there was that is a little confusing, that slide, can we correct that before we put it out on the web?
Absolutely.
Okay, that'd be great. So the map and the correction on the money. Okay,
Wonderful. Thank you.
perfect. Thank you
All right.
so much.
Thanks.
Very good, very good. All right, now we're going to move to item 4A2, Downtown Tempe Refresh. I think we have Julian and Marilyn here from Engineering and Transportation, and Chris from our Public Information Office to give update on where we are with this council initiative. Marilyn?
Good afternoon, Vice Mayor and Councilmember Chin. I'm Marilyn Drosa. I'm the Director of the Engineering and Transportation Department, and we wanted to take a few minutes to provide you with an update. Thank you. With respect to some of the activities that are going on downtown. This presentation will include, we've got Julian Dresang, the city engineer. We have Chris Baxter from the Communications and Marketing Office. And then on the call, we have from our Parks group, Alex Jovanovich. And I think Shelley Seiler as well. So it's a multi-department concern. And this presentation will break it into two areas. Julian will talk about the capital program, their capital project, which, as you know, can sometimes be a bit pedantic. I guess it's sometimes frustratingly slow. But in addition to that, we'll be talking about some of the more imminent updates to the downtown area to try to provide some activation and some placemaking, if you will, for the Mill Avenue stretch while we're working on the design for the streetscape. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris. Chris is going to talk about some of the pretty cool work that they're planning on doing. Then Julian will talk about the capital project, and then I'll wrap it up at the end. And if you have questions, we've got the folks available to provide the answers. So Chris.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you very much. And hello, Councilmember Chin. So our communication team has put together a few resources for you. The first, as you may know, we have the Refresh Tempe campaign, which is an overall campaign for all of the parks, the streets, all of that work that's being done through our CIP process. And you can find all about that on tempe.gov/refreshtempe. But on top of that, we have kind of separated out the downtown as a very special project because it is something that so many people are going to be touched by. It's not a neighborhood park, it's not a small street, it is a larger place where tourists and people from all over the globe come. So we've also created a second webpage just to pull that out. And if you look at that, it'll tell you a list of all of the streets that are all of the projects that are upcoming very soon. That'll get updated on a fairly regular basis. And this is just a screenshot.
Hard to read.
Okay, it's just a screenshot of the web page. So we'll go ahead and get you another version of that if you like.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I want the public to be able to read it. So
Okay.
that'd be great.
All right. And so beyond the website, though, we have a lot more coming. These graphics that you see right here, we are planning on using the Ike signs, which are those mobile signs created, the digital signs that are throughout the downtown. Right now, the Mill Avenue banner that spans 5th Street is not working properly, but when that becomes available again, we will have some information up there, and that would be what that top graphic looks like. We'll also have some posters and
What's the timeline on getting that repaired? It needs a repair, is that right?
I do not know that answer.
Okay.
That's not a part of our office. That comes through a different department, so I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
What
for
department
you.
would that be?
I believe.
I can speak to that when we
absolutely.
get to those slides.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Thanks.
All right. And then we'll have posters and some other things that can be done that are just throughout the downtown. But something that we're working on that we think is going to be pretty special is nobody likes looking at empty store windows. And so one day when we were walking down past Rulabula, we had an idea. And that was, could we talk to the tenant that's not quite ready to go in yet and see if we can utilize their storefront to talk about what's happening with downtown Tempe and liven it up a little bit. So if you look at the monitor, what you're seeing is two different ideas for the same windows. The top idea and the bottom idea are two separate ideas. And those are actually the windows themselves that you're looking at with our idea photoshopped on top of it. And there's going to be some other slides where it pulls out a little bit closer so you can see it. But the idea is to cover them with beautiful graphics, some that would be selfie opportunities for people who like to take pictures and enjoy downtown, and some that are informational. And this is just kind of like what it would look like overall with those three concepts together. And so that blue window that you were looking at, these are two choices that we're looking at. And they will probably have a little bit of modification. But this is just an idea that we're exploring. The other thing is that we will not have the final say. We do have to get the look approved by the tenant as well as the landlord, but we're getting pretty close to that. So there may be some changes to these before we go forward with them. In fact, there will be some changes to these, but concept 1 and concept 2 are kind of being considered right now. And then there might be some additional windows. There are 3 other windows on that stretch that we're looking at. And those same beautiful, like bright graphics that you saw, the bright blue graphics, we would take pictures like these and include some of that blue and some of those flowers on top of that and turn those into opportunities for people to stand there and make it look like they're out boating or look like they're going to the spring training game. And there would be QR codes there that they could take with their phone and see additional information like where can I get tickets or when's the next game, or what is that concert and can I go? And then those other concepts that you saw, the purple and the orange ideas, the Mill Avenue gets fresh. That's how we're going to be telling people, look what's coming. The downtown is changing. It's becoming more beautiful. And then another window just for like, hey, here's some events that are coming up. So we'll be taking this over to Downtown Tempe Authority and letting Tempe Tourism look at it as well. And then taking that up and covering those windows up until it's time to open those doors.
Do we know when Rulabula is going to be opened again?
The tenant for that was looking at doing quite a few months. It was going to be a little while. So that's why we were looking at these windows, getting us through spring.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Next, I'm going to talk about some of the projects in our capital program that we have scheduled and we're moving forward with. Actually, and before I get to that, there was the question about the banner poles. So we were notified by our contractor that installed the actual banners that there was some concern with the structural, the poles themselves. And we did go out there and take a look at it, and we agreed that there was some concern. So for the safety and health of the public, we had both of those poles removed, and we are now engaging a structural engineer to design those and get new poles up so that we can once again get the banner poles up there. So the current status is working with the structural engineer to get poles that are safe for everybody. We think that it has to do with the wind loads. There's heavy wind loads that come through there. I don't know if you remember back in years past, we had a couple poles that were actually over by Tempe Beach Park, and we made the difficult decision to not put those back because actually the wind coming off the lake was just too strong. Couldn't come up with a solution that could be a long-term solution for those. So
Okay, thanks for.
But we know that it's important to many different departments in the city as well as external partners to get their information out on those banners.
Okay, and what is the time frame?
Again, this wasn't a planned activity, so we're working with the structural engineers to, we have to have a foundation in place and new poles, so we're actively working on it, and we'll move that along as quickly as possible. I don't want to provide a date and then have to come back on that, but we do know it's a priority.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
So the first project I just wanted to, this is nothing new, but this is just a quick update. We know that we're replacing the string lights on the Mill Avenue bridges. They've been out there for some time, and this is a part of our asset management program, and we've worked with procurement to get a vendor on board, and they're procuring the materials actively.
Mm-hmm. Well, and how's it going to be different from what's there now?
Again, this is more asset maintenance. If you were to go out there and walk along there, there's lights that aren't functioning anymore, portions, and so when this is done, all the lights will be functioning and crisp. So again, this is more of an asset management program, but it's will help the overall look of the downtown when it's completed.
Sure, okay, I understand.
And that's a little bit different than the next slide, which is the Festoon lighting. This is going in on 4th Street and 6th Street. And this will be new lighting that'll be overhead, and we're in the process of finalizing the design on that. We're having a few issues with a pole vendor, but we think we've worked through that, and we're confident that we'll get this project underway this spring to early summer.
Julian, can you tell us again where this is going to be?
Sure, absolutely. So starting from the north on 4th Street to the west, so kind of in front of Cafe Boa.
Okay.
And then the other on both sides of 6th Street, so that is kind of in front of the 525 building, and then on the opposite side of the street there by kind of going down to the lattes and I can't remember the
Snakes.
Snakes and lattes. So, so those are the two areas that we'll get this new overhead lighting. Just trying to engage, get people to kind of go into some of the side streets and go to those businesses and such. So I think all these together is going to help just increase the appeal and walkability and visual nature of the downtown.
Good.
So,
Yeah, lights, I know it gets really dark out here by City Hall, so that'd be nice to have those lights up.
yeah,
So we can see better.
absolutely.
Good.
Quick update, the next project is Fifth Street. This has been on the books for some time. It goes between Farmer and College, and actually, some of these pictures here, we were able to use some of the development that's come in to actually incorporate some of the elements of that design already. So these photographs are from the area between the railroad tracks and Farmer, both on the north side of the street and the south side. And so you can see some of the material palette there for the sidewalks, as well as some of the landscaping and such. And so we'll just, with this project, we'll continue that to the east all the way down to College Avenue. And so we had a design, and we're going to do it. It's been on the books for a little while. We're going to be updating that, making a few changes based on some of the feedback that we got from mayor and council. And so Wood Patel will be doing that for us, and we'll have construction funding starting with the new fiscal year in July, and we hope to hit the ground running then when that construction money becomes available to begin this project.
Okay.
And another part of that there's been some questions about the parking lot next to City Hall. We call it the East City Hall parking lot. So some of the improvements will be in that parking lot too, as part of that larger Fifth Street project.
Okay, west or east of City Hall?
The parking lot that's directly west.
Okay,
Did I say east?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
that's okay. I was because I don't.
Yeah, I get twisted around sometimes.
That's okay. Yeah, I understand the feeling. So, okay, yeah. All right, so the west. And what are we thinking about that parking lot? Just out of
It'll
curiosity.
continue to serve as a parking lot, but also we're introducing public restroom as well as some kind of a green palette. Am I leaving anything out? Am I leaving anything out?
No,
Okay.
there's a sustainability
Yeah,
element.
so
The green stormwater infrastructure, some parking, and the public restroom.
yeah.
Okay.
So I left out, there's some rain harvesting, green water will be an element that we'll be experimenting with there. So.
Great.
The next project is one I know everybody's very interested in. This is the Mill Avenue Streetscape and Infrastructure Project. So the larger project will extend all the way from Rio Salado to University. And so we had a design contract. We went through our full RFQ process and got a J2 Engineering Environmental Design. And that contract we're anticipating to be on the February 2nd council meeting. And then we will be working through with them through the full design to get input from the DTA and all the businesses along there, from our community. And, we're going to be looking at having decorative sidewalks, intersection design, street trees and shade, urban living rooms. And then also, it's a very aging corridor for things that you can't see. So we have electrical and irrigation underneath the sidewalk area that has been there for many years and has met the end of its useful life. And so although we won't see that at the end of the project, we want to bring that up to standards and make sure that we're setting ourselves up for future growth and any future projects there. So so we're really excited about this project, and we think that at the end of the day, it's really going to be a great asset to the businesses and just anybody visiting the downtown. And then I'm going to let Marilyn kind of wrap up the presentation. If you do have questions, I'll be available at that time, as well as those that are on the phone.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. So this is our last slide, and the idea here is that we know that council has provided us with some direction and some funding for capital improvements on Mill Avenue. And while we're working through that design, in the meantime, there are activities going on that we're hoping will create the kind of buzz and the kind of the aesthetics that the council is looking for in anticipation. So just a review, the Communications and Marketing Office, Chris just talked to you about some of the things that they're planning to do along the Mill Avenue corridor. The DTA, is active, always active with not just activities, but placemaking. They did the adaptive streets. They took advantage of our program, our adaptive streets program, to do the 7th and Forest intersection improvements. And they recently did the flower power at a pop-up park at 7th and Mill that they called Flower Power at 7th Street. We'd like to get, and then Tempe Community Services through the direction of Andrew and Keith, and Alex is available if you have questions. They plan on going out there and looking at some of the places where the tree wells are muddy and the trees have been removed or are dead, and doing some planted and boxed trees, putting some accent plants in the median, and some new decomposed granite, some things to dress up the street while we're working on the Streetscape project. This is all to support the fact that we do have more activations on Mill Avenue. We've got Second Sunday, the Super Bowl's coming, the streetcars now operating with really good ridership. So in anticipation of the CIP project, we're working with our partners to try to get some pop and some buzz out there. So that's our presentation. The next bullet point is committee discussion. Several of us are available if you or Councilmember Chin have questions, and so I'll stop talking.
Okay, I'll ask Councilmember Chin. Do you have some comments or questions?
I do, Vice Mayor. And whomever, I think Marilyn's at there, I can ask her, and then if others are to answer, that's fine. I will, my understanding of these projects and of the Mill Streetscape refresh has been prioritized by Mayor and Council. That's my understanding. Is that yours, Marilyn?
Yes, Councilmember Chin, that is my understanding.
Okay, great. So, and I know working with engineers, you all like to plan and you're very exact. So my questions relate to the string light replacement, the Festoon lighting. I see spring, but I don't see a month or something, something a little more precise. Also, I think Festoon, you said spring, summer. Can you, if you don't have it today, that's fine. But can you come back to us and give us a better idea of what we're talking about, what month or what 6-week or 8-week frame, so that we all can plan accordingly? As you said, the DTA has been working really hard to put on events and activate the area, and I think that's great. But a lot of this needs to coincide with that and all be mutually supportive. And that's what I'm looking for. So can you come back to us with more closer dates to when this will happen?
Yeah, Vice Mayor and Councilmember Chin, absolutely. The spring through summer, I think it's going to be about a 3-month construction job. Installing the new vertical poles that will support the lighting. And we have worked with the vendor to ensure that the aesthetics match as best as possible the existing aesthetics. We have the specialized lighting in downtown Tempe, the Acorn lighting, and we're trying to match that absent having something specially manufactured, which then increases the cost. So it's those kind of details, Councilmember Chin, that you're referring to, right? That engineers get involved in those very specific details. And in this case, we're thinking about a 3-month construction, and we're looking at, and we'll get the month for you exactly, but we're looking at, we put spring to summer to try to cover when it would start and when it would end. But we'll certainly get some dates for you.
Yeah, that's great. What I'm looking for are, and moving forward, some of the specificity with those updates with, as you mentioned, right? Our marketing team is doing a lot about getting the buzz out there. Well, buzz does nothing and buzz dies out if there's no action. So if you can begin providing better dates on when things are happening, then perhaps marketing can begin, social media posts about, hey, come check out downtown Tempe, see what's happening. Hey, come look at the new lights, or let's help each other out here. Because we're seeing a lot of nothing and hearing a lot of silence. And I think for me, I'm not sure what's going on. And I would love some frequent updates so that we know if you're encountering some challenges, so we can manage expectations of both mayor and council, but certainly of our community partners. Does that make sense?
Yes, Vice Mayor, Councilmember Chin, that makes perfect sense. And stakeholder involvement, you're absolutely right that the stakeholders not only need to, they deserve to understand where we are in the process, and to understand and to have some expectation with respect to when they'll see the improvements. Absolutely.
Good. Thank you, Marilyn. I really appreciate you understanding what I'm trying to lay down here in the dates. We need to work together. We're all excited, but it takes a comprehensive effort by all of us. It's not just DTA, it's not just marketing, engineering, streets. We all have to work together on this and move forward. And we're just very excited, and it's been a prioritized refresh for all of us. I would love to see that summer 2024 of Mill Streetscape. That seems awfully long. I'd love for you to look at that and see if there's a way we can accelerate that a little bit. Is that possible?
Well, what I would like to, I guess, clarify is that there's the process through which the engineering team develops the design and contracts for the construction. There are timelines that we're working to shrink, to minimize as much as possible. I can't promise that we would be able to break ground much sooner than that. We'll go back. I'm sitting down tomorrow with Andrew and Keith to talk about this particular timeline. There might be some early work packages that we could release, but what we'll do, Councilmember Chin, is after we've sat down with the city manager and agreed to a time frame that's as accelerated as possible, we will share that with you. And if there are, and then if you have any questions about the decisions we made regarding that schedule, we would be able to answer them and perhaps take a relook at it.
No, I appreciate that, Marilyn. I think you can understand, we want to maintain the buzz and the excitement. And then as we move along, if there are renderings that we can share, much like the what Chris was talking about with the posters and the windows, then we can begin showing people what it will look like. As I'm talking to prospective businesses that are interested in Tempe, but all I have are words, and it would be great to be able to show them pictures and renderings and just be able to help visualize what we are expecting in that area and get them excited.
Yeah, we have some renderings that we can share, but I just want to caution that when you're working in infrastructure that's quite there's a lot of existing infrastructure on Mill Avenue, and it's aging. And it's important that we use care when we're excavating or doing pavement cuts or measuring right of way. And those are the kind of details that take time as we walk through the project. We have our first phase with where we have the land surveyors verify thing, where we're working with the third-party utilities to ensure we're aware of where their underground utilities are. So those are the kind of things in the early phase that take time, especially in a crowded corridor. The irrigation and the electrical are the most important parts of the building the background to support any future development. So what's frustrating for us as well is to be spending time working on the irrigation and the electrical. You don't get to see what the improvement is until you start building on top of that. So we would be more than happy to sit down and talk to you about what the time frame looks like once we've met with the city manager and what our expectations are with respect from the consultant and the contractor within each block of time.
Oh, no, I appreciate that, Marilyn. And I think you just defined engineering, right? It takes planning and execution, and all parts have to work together to move forward. And we have to take precautions. I think that's important in any job that we do. But as you said, we do have an aging and dated infrastructure in the area. And that's part of the problem, which is why we're all anxious to update this. So I appreciate the information you shared today, and I appreciate you handling my questions. But I look forward to any more updates once you have some more precise dates for us so that you can share that with us so that we all are. It's not just me. I know that many people within our community are excited about the refresh. So we're just anxious to hear more updates about when this will be happening.
Yeah, Vice Mayor and Councilmember Chin, I'll make a commitment to provide better communication.
Okay. Okay. Councilmember Chin, do you have any other comments or questions?
No, I don't. Thank you. I appreciate staff sharing the information today.
Okay, thank you. I have some comments.
Okay.
One is, it's funny that Councilmember Chin brought this up, but summer 2024 seems like a long time away. It's another year and a half. And I know that when I was Deputy Public Works Director, we always had plans for every project had like, February, we're going to do this, March, we're going to do this, whatever. Everything was spelled out. Do you have that spelled out for this refresh yet, Marilyn?
We have Vice Mayor, we have prepared a Gantt chart.
Okay.
The timeline with critical path items.
Okay.
That's the chart that we'll be sharing with Andrew and Keith tomorrow. And once we've talked through that and answered all the questions that the city manager's office has, then that would be available for public consumption, I guess. So
Okay.
we do have one, but I would like the city manager to be able to ask us as many questions as he has about what it looks like, what each of the phases include, to ensure that we haven't overlooked any potential places to shorten the timeframe.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be good. I would like to see you come back next month and with that time frame for us. I think that will help.
Okay.
So you guys maybe can work out, whatever you do in your meeting. And Keith's here too, so he'll be part of it. But to like really, have specific dates, just like we used to do, it sounds like you still do it, for the projects, and I think that will help a lot of, and then what specifically is going to be happening during those time periods, so people understand. And I mean, I remember when I was facilities director, the electrical was a problem then, so that's been 7 years ago, and we had like a 2-month time frame. We'd gotten a bid for like a 2-month time frame to redo the electrical along Mill Avenue. So that's just my institutional knowledge coming through. So I don't know that has to be such a long time frame. And I know the electricity is a mess. So I never had the money in the budget to do it.
Yeah, and I'm what we could do, Vice Mayor, if you're interested, is we could sit down and talk to you about what kind of electrical upgrades we have done.
Okay.
And what it is we're planning to do, so that you can see what's the difference and
Okay.
where we've done some improvement. But you're right. Unless we change out all the electrical,
Right.
we're going to continue to have these problems.
Exactly. I agree. So maybe we could talk about that next month too, the electrical, because it sounds like that's one of the first things we're going to be doing. So yeah, I think that would be helpful. Councilmember Chin, do you have anything else you want to add to this, to like as far as what you would like to see next month?
No, I think what you added was great. And then if there's any specificity, I think that would be important.
Okay, okay, I think, are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that'll be helpful. Go ahead, Marilyn.
No, if you have any questions, any other questions, Alex is here virtually.
Okay.
Julian and Chris, so if you don't have anything else.
No, I don't think so for
Okay.
those folks, so.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Appreciate the thorough presentation.
All right,
So
thank
thank you
you.
so much. So obviously, this is a top priority for the council, and so I know that we want to just make sure that things keep going forward and keep our community informed. We'll now move on to item 4B, new items for consideration. I believe we have one new item, number 4B1, presentation proposals for future council committee meetings. I know we've asked transportation to come back in February with any updates on the Cool Pavement project. That would be like getting the time frame and all that too, and where, kind of what we're talking about with this other. So let's make sure that it's on next month's agenda. I'd also like to get an update on what's happening with the development of the county island at the February meeting. So hopefully Donna and her team can put something together for that. Oh, we lost Donna. Maybe she's on virtually. Donna, can you do that? Anyway, we'd like that to happen. And last month, staff from several city departments, including our SEV committee, staff went to Tucson to see firsthand what they're doing down there with their green stormwater program, which I heard it's a really fantastic program. I think it would be a good idea to get Dr. K and his staff to give a presentation on their findings. And maybe for the March SEV committee meeting. Oh, okay, so do you think we could do it in February, you guys, instead of March? Transportation? Shelley? Shelley Seiler?
And Vice Mayor, if we have on the February agenda already, we have the Cool Pavement, and you're going to have the Tempe Refresh come back again. I'm not sure if you'd have enough time to do a third one.
Oh, okay. Okay, we'll
within
wait
an
till March
hour.
then on that. Okay, sure. If we can just convey that to whomever. Did anybody attend that's in the audience? Just curious? The Tucson? Yeah, the Tucson?
I was able to attend.
You were able to attend? Okay, okay.
There was a good show.
Okay, good. Okay, so we'll have that on for March. We'll wait until March so we don't get too crowded. Okay, very good. Thank you. Councilmember Chin, details any presentations you would like to see coming in the next few months? Councilmember Chin?
Nope, sorry, there was an issue with the mute button. No, I think that's great. I think we have a full agenda for next month.
Okay, very good. Well, that's the last of our scheduled discussions today. So we'll move on to item 4C, announcements. Councilmember Chin, do you have any announcements today?
I do.
All right,
I want to
go for
make
it.
sure, I think there's a slide for it. I want to make sure that everyone is aware of an exciting exhibit that's coming to the Tempe Center for the Arts. It's the new Earth and Sky exhibition. It will be on display beginning this weekend, January 14th, and will run through April 22nd. It's going to feature contemporary art displays and have free education programs, including a panel, which is on January 19th, on land stewardship from a panel representing Indigenous perspectives, including our own council member, Doreen Garland. The exhibit will explore ecology and culture and everything that ties us to the Southwest. And details are on the screen. Visit TCA's website.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Any other announcements, Councilmember Chin?
No, none from me.
Okay, I just have one final announcement. I want to announce our next scheduled meeting date, which will be Wednesday, February 15th at 3 p.m. Thank you all for being here today, both virtually and in person. And with that, we are adjourned.